Hi, welcome back to Shadow Phoenix, and just wanted to do a share on my past week and what's been happening for me today and recently in my experience. I have been working, as you know, with the law of attraction and manifesting, and I really felt like the universe was challenging me to begin to have more of a feminine approach to manifesting. Typically, I have a lot of fire signs in my chart, a lot of Sagittarius, I'm a Leo rising, and I also have Aquarius moon. So I have a lot of masculine energy, and generally that's how I have approached life. I've approached my spiritual life that way, very action-oriented, very proactive, very movement-oriented, very outward oriented, and I have been able to be successful with that. I've been able to learn how to do that, and it's a way that makes sense to me. And I really felt like I was being presented with the opportunity to grow, but learn how to do it from a more feminine standpoint energetically. And what I mean by that is to be able to be in a receptive mode rather than a proactive mode. And I have no idea what that looks like. And this last week particularly, I've really been exploring that, sensing into that, and attempting to learn at all. I'm tripping over my words because it is so foreign to me. I did not realize how foreign it was to me until I attempted to do it, and I realized that I had no skill almost whatsoever in being in a receptive mode. And what I typically thought of as being passive, and that was what I regarded a feminine energy as, was actually passive, and that was my belief around that. And so when I started to be, kind of what I thought passive would be, it wasn't what it was. And so I had to really discover that being receptive and having a feminine energy is about activity. It's a different kind of activity. It comes from your being, comes from your beingness. It comes from a different part of your beingness. So really being able to be receptive and understand the energy flow, and I would not say at all that I'm even close to learning how to direct that energy flow the same way that I can with fire energy and that outward masculine creative energy. But I've just been getting acquainted with it, sort of settling into it and getting to know it. I do have a Scorpio in Venus. I believe my Pluto is in Scorpio in Venus, and I think I have Pluto in Scorpio too. Sorry, I'm confusing those. That has been a very strange side effect for me of getting into this receptive feminine mode, is becoming forgetful, not being able to recall details, and with again being able to really think and be logical and track what's going on. I've been in the moment more with my feminine energy, being receptive. I'm in the moment. I'm more present for every moment. But I find that once that moment's over, a lot of the details that went with it go with it. And so I carry the experience with me, but not necessarily the information. It doesn't get carried forward. So in the sign of Scorpio, I have both Venus and Pluto is what I'm attempting to say. And so I do have some experience with the depth of the Scorpio energy, but not necessarily, it's been strange. It's been strange. And even that has been something that I've discovered this summer, which is also very recent for me, is discovering the parts of my chart, the parts of myself, the energies at work that are feminine and receptive, and that creative, the method of creating in a feminine energy versus masculine. So besides being very, again, not being able to recall details, or frankly just getting confused easily over basic things that I know, I have also not felt, I feel like I've been keeping in check to some extent that typical fire energy of getting up and going, getting up and moving, and I haven't been able, in a receptive state to really figure out how to function and do a lot of the spiritual work that I do. And so I haven't posted any videos. I haven't known what to do or how to say. I'm really still learning, very much a novice at learning how to work with this energy and actually get anything done. So I'm going to adjust my computer so I hear the fan coming on. There we go. Uh-oh. I won't see the doorknob. Uh-oh. Now I'm messing it up. So, beautiful. I just love that. Cracks me up. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. That's why I've been a little bit MIA on videos this week. And I had a great day today. I went out to a local get-together in the city with a lot of other like-minded individuals. I had some Reiki done. I had a foot zones therapy done. I was able to read for some people, which was wonderful. And just be out in nature. I think I got a little bit of a sunburn up here, be in the sun, and it was really great. And really practice being with people, but in a receptive mode. Last night we also had moon group with my local women's group, and so I was practicing my receptive mode among being with other people and talking. And I have definitely felt the shift energetically in myself and in the way that I relate with people. Some of it still feels like I have to hold back because I'm so, I think, just habituated at this point in time to becoming a very outgoing, very assertive energy, asserting myself into social situations or what have you. Excuse me. And so it has been a little bit different. One of the funny things is that we have another lady at the lady group who is a Pisces and generally a very prototypical water energy, and she's really exploring her fire side. So for the time being, we're kind of switched roles energetically, which I think is a little bit hilarious. You know, for me, I think for her too. She can see the humor in the situation. So I was resting at home in my receptive mode, how I'm practicing on being, and I just felt so wonderful that I wanted to share with everybody my energy and what's been happening with me, and I really felt the cards pulling to me and singing to me to come and do a reading. But after getting that all of the way, I wanted to talk about manifestation a little bit more. I have had some insights this week that have been new to me. They might possibly be new to you, so I thought I'd share them. The question that occurs is, what's the problem with time in manifestation? And there's a well-known manifestation law of attraction teacher who says that the minute that you have a desire, that desire is turned into manifestation, and that manifestation goes to your inner self or your higher being, and that higher being is the one that helps you to find the path of least resistance toward that manifestation in the 3D world, essentially. But really the reason why we don't see it instantly, because it's given to us instantly, is really here in our manifested state, we have blocks, we have resistance, we have perspectives that don't allow us to see it. One of the things that has occurred to me is that what is, so at any point in time, like now, in the now, we think of it as what is, we think of it as existing, and we see it as solid, and we see it as reality. Also in the Enlightenment culture and in Western cultures, we have a big emphasis on reality, being a realistic person, being pragmatic, being able to look at things objectively. And so the only time that we can participate in time is in the now. And so since that's our anchor point in time, we use that time as the litmus test to determine what's happening. So if we're doing a scientific experiment, we're testing now, in this moment now, which is eternally now. But all of our methods of getting sensory information or feedback from the environment around us is based on now. So now has grown to be a huge thing for us culturally in the way we think. And even like Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now, which really, again, from a spiritual point of view, really highlights or points towards now as the moment of power, it just highlights the importance of it. And my understanding and idea that I've had this week is that really the now, we see it as concrete and real, but really it is passing away. It's really, by the time we see it, it's already old news, because all that now is the manifestation of prior creations. I'm going to say that again. Now, right now, everything that is the manifestation of prior creations. So it's really old news. It's really like last week's newspaper, and we're picking it up a week later and reading it, and right now it seems like now to us, but really the news has already happened. It's already come and gone. But because we're seeing it in the now, we experience it as relevant to the now, as relevant to us, but it's really a delayed feedback system. You know, it's like when you're talking on the phone long distance and you say something and you have to wait for that other person to hear it, and then they reply and you have to wait and hear them reply. If you've ever done the old style phone lines, continent to continent, or if you have, your video is slow, or your Wi-Fi is slow, or your internet's slow, and you're talking on Skype, or you're doing a YouTube video and it's playing, but you can tell that there's a delay in it. That's really what the now is. It's that delayed time. It's not what actually is now. What actually is now is that creation in the spiritual, you might say the vortex, in the spiritual plane, in the 5D place, wherever that is for you. That creation is what's actually real and current and relevant, but because it's coming to us, we don't yet see it. So we have to train ourselves that when we're looking for incoming manifestations, that we can recognize that what is happening now is old. It's not about being in denial to it. It's just about understanding that there's a time gap. And so this is delayed, and this is what's incoming, and what my creation is it's catching up. It's catching up. So time is always in flow, just like space. Time and space are, the time and space it takes to get from point A to point B. And when you're in time and space, those creations require time and space in order to come to you. You can think of it as currents of air, currents of electricity, currents of light, currents of sound, currents of currency, such as money, currents of love, currents of thought, any kind of a current, any kind of a field, any kind of, all the quantum stuff, it's a quantum field. All of that is contained in the time and space within all of the currents. And so when you're getting into alignment, you're getting into a current that's moving towards you and moving fast, rather than being in a dead pond with very little slow current. So your alignment is getting into alignment on the current that is bringing your manifestation towards you. It sounds like theoretically there are people, or it is an unattainable state. It is a state that you could attain to have the desire now and be so in tune with your inner self and with your current, and with having such a lack of resistance that you can see your manifestations when you manifest them with your desire and your higher self receives them, that abundance. If you know that person, please give them my phone number, say that I want to have a conversation with them, learn from them. But I think that the hardest thing to do we have such a hard time keeping in tension, the tension between what's happening now is real and I have to respond to it. If my house is on fire, I have to respond to it. I can't say, oh, that's old news. And so because we're in somewhat of a response to it, we then think that that's what we're creating, and we have to understand that there's really 2 points of reference, and what we want is the reference point of the now is old news, and the reference point of the creation is still in a vibrational wavelength. It's still vibrational and it's still coming to us, but that is our true orientation point, and I'm putting this hand down intentionally. The creation is the true orientation point, and the higher self, or the inner self, whatever you want to call it, the higher self has this, and they're sending it to you, or you're going to meet it, or they're giving you directions on how to bring you two together, your creation and yourself, your manifested body self. And so when you have the desire and you were given that manifestation, your higher self had it spiritually the minute that you requested it, and that's how the expansion happens at the spiritual level. And the job of the higher self is for your body and for your soul down here in time and space to lead and guide you and tell you which way to go, so that you line up with the current, because it knows, it sees the path of least resistance. it knows where you are in time and space relative to everything that you're wanting, everything that you're creating, everything that's around you, and the best way, the easiest way, and the funnest way for you to get to it. So when you're in the now, the important point that you can do to hasten the manifestation is to listen to the higher being give you directions, giving you inspiration, giving you ideas, giving you knowledge, giving you feelings. And so it's not that we don't take action in the now, it's that we listen and wait for inspired action, inspired sight, inspired foresight, inspirational thoughts, inspirational visions, or what have you, however you get communicated with from your own higher self. That's what we're waiting for. And so in the flow of time and space, understand that we will be moving and reacting, but it's not to the now, it's to the higher self, because the higher self has the third eye vision, the eagle eye view of all time and space where your manifestation is. This makes sense in my mind. I hope this is making sense to you. So I'm going to let that simmer. There has been a couple more different ideas and awarenesses I have had. I can tell you that using this idea of time and space and the now being old news has helped me a lot this week to, I feel more vibrant, I feel alive, I feel happier, I feel more deeply at peace, and I also feel a sense of calmness, and I much more want to be in the flow of things. And so that looks like two things. I want to be in the flow. I want to get out. I want to be in nature. I want to be with people. I want to be out where things are happening. I'm very much a homebody normally, and I do not necessarily want to just stay at home all day. Normally, I can be content to amuse myself in my own home all day long for weeks and years at a time. I am not kidding. But I much more want to go out and be in the flow. Also, what that looks like is that I want to be in the flow of things. I don't want to be directing. I don't feel the need. It does not occur to me to go out there and make something happen, or go meet somebody, or go make my manifestation happening. The other thing that I will say to maybe lend a little bit of clarity to this is that one of the points that I heard and have integrated this week is that when we are manifesting and we're letting our higher self manifest, we're letting the universe bring it to us, when we are letting the vortex naturally occur in our lives, is that we are watching it. We're not making it happen. We're not doing an efforting. It's not from our doing. It's from our being. And again, that relationship with yourself and your own higher being is really important in this paradigm. And so if you have any relationship that you feel that you could strengthen or invest in, it would be the one with your higher being, in my personal opinion. So having the stance that I don't need to do anything has been very revolutionary. It's been very strongly impressed upon me, because I really resonated when I heard that. And the best way that I could think to explain it, and the way that I understand it, is it's like watching a movie. It's like watching a movie of your own life now, watching a movie of the now, but it's a movie and you're watching it. I do take action. Again, it's simple, inspired action. There's no effort. There's no tension behind it. There's no resistance. There's no push. There's no pull. It's contributing to the flow of what's already occurring. And so understanding that time is in flow, just like in a river, you can watch the river go by. You can be in the river and be watching the river go by. You can be swimming in the river or walking through the river. You can be taking action and still watch the river go by. When you're standing there providing resistance to the river is when you're not in flow. So you can swim with a river. You can even swim upstream with a river. But really, if you're not providing resistance or strong efforting towards it or against it or away from it in some way, you can take that action. And I feel like now, 5% of what I do is action versus 95% of what I'm seeing back is flow. Things coming towards me, manifestations spontaneously occurring without me actioning on them or because of them or in reaction to them. And so, for instance, at today's event, it was a community-wide event, and I always have my card, especially when I go out anymore. And I had my card and my pendulum, and I was reading for people. And I asked one lady, oh, I invited her, would you like a reading? She said yes, I gave her a reading. Had another woman come up and ask me for a reading. So again, this is it's coming to me. She approached me, she asked me if I did readings. I responded yes. Again, inflow. I'm not comatose, which is how I thought it was, that I'm just passive and just limp. Nothing's happening. Just do it for me. But I interacted with her. Probably nobody else is as insane and extreme as I am to think that way. So I'm talking to myself, not any of you enlightened beings. And I gave her a reading. It was great. And she gave me a hug at the end and said, well, what can I do? She was kind of implying like she wanted to pay me or give me something back. And I said, well, whatever you feel you want to do or need to do is appropriate to you. I'm happy to have. So she went back to her stand and brought me a little bag that she had made, and then also some of her homegrown tea. And she gave that to me, and that was the universe giving me abundance, because of course one of my creations and what I've been manifesting is abundance, and abundance of all kinds. The first abundance that she provided me with was the abundance of people that are on my wavelength and see the value that I have to offer and that can benefit from what I have to give, and who approach me to, assist them in their healing journey, which she was. She was an abundance of energy that was willing to grow and asking for me to participate, which I happily did. She was sending abundance my way in the form of asking if I was willing to receive something from her. I absolutely was. She gave me an energetic gift of items that she had, participated in creating or assembling of, she aided her energy to that. And so there was a lot of that kind of manifestation that occurred today. And so going back to my original, being in flow, there's participation, I would say, but I'm in the flow. I'm not directing it. I'm not pushing. I'm not out there haranguing people or pressuring them or talking them into things or out of things or telling them what they need to do and why. That is not really the energy of it at all. It's really about being present, participating in what arises as much as I can, doing so without resistance and being aware to what my higher self is saying to me, and then watching it play out and watching it come towards me. And that has been a very big part of the feminine manifestation creation cycle, is that things come towards me. And I know that I can go out there and do things and get things or make things happen with my masculine energy. I'm very skilled at that. I am not skilled at receiving and having things come towards me in that flow on that current, because I am aligned. When you are in a masculine energy, you a lot of times create your own current because you are taking action, and that causes ripples. So you're naturally in your own flow because you are directing it to a certain extent because of your very proactive way of getting out there and directing or whatnot. And then, of course, it always has to come back to you, but you already have created the vibration, so when it comes back, you're already in vibration to you. What I'm learning now is that it is sort of the same thing from a feminine creation standpoint, which is I am creating it, but I'm creating it with my higher being, and my higher being is the one that's sending the ripples out, and then it's coming back on that return current of the same energy that my higher being created versus me in time and space doing that. That's how I understand it. That's how my experience has been this week of that whole thing. So this is going to be about manifestation and time. And I still really would like to do some readings. So I'm going to turn this off and start doing that. Thank you for joining me. And in the spirit of receptivity, I am willing to take donations to the channel. You can send a PayPal donation to shadowphoenix1317@gmail.com. And I would also love to do a reading for you. And if you want a quote, you can call me or contact me for a consultation on what a package might look like for you to fit your needs. Thank you.